Okay, so Arsenal take on West Ham on Saturday, 24 hours before Liverpool go to Manchester City. A victory for the Gunners will put them just 5 points behind the league leaders.
Good afternoon, Mikel. Good to see you. Can we start off with team news first of all for Saturday?
No real news, to be fair. The ones that are long-term, they remained not available, and the rest, no other news.
Ben White was obviously on the bench on Saturday. Do you think he's ready to start potentially?
He's ready to play. Whether to start or not is a decision we'll make tomorrow, but he's certainly available now to be part of the group.
A question on the Champions League. You've got PSV Eindhoven in the last 16. What's your reaction to it? Do you see it as a big opportunity to get to another quarter-final?
Well, we played against them. They are a really good team. We know that. We have experienced it, and it will be very difficult, like any other Champions League result that we could have got, or any team. So we know what we are facing. When you are at this stage, every team is really, really good. And once the time comes, we'll be ready for it.
Just on the title race, Mikel, you've seen Liverpool drop points in 2 of the last 3 games now. If you can beat West Ham, it's a 5-point gap ahead of their game against Manchester City. Is there a growing belief from you and your players that you can come back and claim this title?
Well, we have to do our job, and it's going to be a tough one tomorrow against West Ham, and if we do that, obviously we will be looking at that game on Sunday. But it's 13 games to go still. There's still a lot to play, and you can see how difficult it is for everybody to win football matches. So we really need to be there.
I know you love watching those big games. Will you be glued to your TV on Sunday and hoping your friend Pep can do you a favour?
I'm glued to tomorrow's game. That's what I'm glued, and my full focus is just there.
Just generally though, when you do watch these other games, are you a good spectator?
What does that mean?
As in, do you just watch it and can you relax? Or
no, relax, no. Especially when you are playing for these teams, you cannot relax. I relax watching games that don't interfere with our ability to win big trophies.
This is the 3rd season now that you've been involved, and really involved in a title race in a row. What experiences do you think you can draw from what's happened in the past 2 seasons to maybe get you over the line this time?
But the margins are so small, and everything counts. And we had numbers that any other Premier League title probably you could have won it, and we didn't. So that shows you the level and the difficulty of it. But the fact that we have experienced it obviously helps, because we know what it's going to take to do it.
Just a final one from me, Mikel. I spoke to Mikel Marino yesterday, and he was saying that it might have been a good thing that he only knew on the morning of the game that he might be used up front. I'm guessing that you might have given him more of a warning this time ahead of this game. Have you?
No. But not to him or to other players, and especially because I want the players, when they're on that pitch, that they are feeling what they are doing and they're taking the initiative, and I don't players that they are thinking about what if tomorrow I have to do certain things. That's why I did it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Alex. We'll go to Alice from the Premier League.
Hi. That decision to play Marino as a makeshift striker against Leicester was labelled by some as an experiment that paid off. I just wonder, is that how you describe it too, or is there more to it than that?
Well, if there's something that we haven't done or he hasn't done in his career is to try, it's called experiment, that's it then. And at the end, it's trying to fit the qualities that we have within the squad, within the players, to actually want to deliver. And what the game is requiring or the opposition is requiring, I would take it more into that that aspect than the other one. But after, it has to work. If not, it's not the right call.
Sure. Given you're essentially challenging for the title without a recognised striker now, are there any young forwards or perhaps hidden gems that you're paying particularly close attention to right now with a view to fast-tracking into the senior setup?
Yes, we are obviously. Some other players are training with us now regularly, and they are in our system. They've been in our system for a while, but they've been very, very close, and obviously we might have to use them, and they look ready as well, which is a good thing.
So is a situation like this an opportunity then for some?
Yes, for sure, and it can appear in any moment, and I spoke about them, so they are ready for it.
So West Ham up next week, of course, on Saturday. Many will be looking at this as an opportunity to put more pressure on Liverpool. Do you see it that way too?
I see an opportunity for us to keep winning and to keep making our journey to the goal that we want at the end of the season, which is to win it. and that's the only thing that we can focus on.
On wanting to win the league, of course, since their defeat to Plymouth, Liverpool have won just one of their last 3 league games. They travel to Man City this weekend, so we know all ifs and buts, of course, but if you beat West Ham and Liverpool lose, come Sunday night, the gap between you is 5 points, plus you have a game in hand. Just how big a weekend could this be in terms of the title race?
Yeah, no, but ifs in football and in sport, I don't like them. Let's do what we have to do, and then the if comes, great, but let's make sure that what is in our hands, we do it.
And that's what's in your hands. You yourselves are unbeaten in 15 league games. Given that form, do you sense the momentum kind of swinging back your way a little at just the right time?
That's what we need, and that's a very important thing, because when your energy and your belief increases, results are behind you, performances are good, and everybody is having that shift in energy and belief. I think anything can happen. Thank you.
Ian, TalkSport.
Hi Mikel, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Can I ask, are you obsessed by winning the title now this season because you've gone close for the last 2 years?
I'm obsessed of doing everything that I possibly can every single day to achieve it. That's my obsession.
But, I mean, does it literally dominate your thinking from the minute you get up in the morning to when you go to bed at night?
No.
So you're not that obsessed by it?
I'm very obsessed by the process of it. That one, yeah, it consumes my whole day. Yes, I guarantee you that. But it's the process, how you get there. The actual outcome, I cannot control it.
How much more difficult is it when you take on a team like West Ham, who most people would say if you played this game 10 times, Arsenal would win 9 of them, i.e. a game you should win? How much more difficult is your team talk to keep your team focused on?
Well, I don't think that anybody's thinking that way, because we are very experienced in the Premier League and how difficult every opponent is. We have a history of what happened last year here at home against them. We have the history of what happened with Graham against us at the Emirates. So, very different feeling.
And one on Mikel Moreno. Last week, obviously, was it a gamble to put him on as a striker? It did pay off. Would you be prepared to gamble on that for longer, i.e. to start him against West Ham, to start someone who isn't an out-and-out striker?
Well, I think obviously every time you play a player, you are betting on that player. You know, it's what is that bet? Is I'm prepared to bet certain amount of money to earn a lot, and not to bet a lot to earn very little. You know, and at the end, that's by putting players in positions and in roles and surrounded by players that we believe it makes sense and it can work and they are comfortable doing it.
And one last one on Bukayo Saka. Apparently his rehab is coming along well.
Yeah.
A couple of months ago you said you were going to, a couple of weeks ago you said you were going to send him away on holiday. You were almost forced him to go and have a holiday because he needed a break. Did he go? Where did you tell him to go? Where did you recommend he went on holiday?
He did go. That question is for him if he wants to answer that.
Okay, we'll go to Simon from the Standard.
Mikel, just on Marino, have you trained with him as a striker this week?
Well, we trained the last few weeks with different players, to be fair. He's been one of them, but with other players as well, because it's not only how you can finish a game, how you start a game, how you change if the opponent does something different, and every 3 days as well, we're going to need different options.
Arsenal are a top team, but I think it's a good game for us in terms of responding to the disappointment against Brentford, and we're looking forward to it. We've had a good week again. That we've had to deal with the disappointment of the last game, and now we're looking forward to a real big challenge, because that's what it is. It's a big challenge.
Yeah, it certainly is. It was a big challenge for Arsenal to find a replacement up front with Kai Havertz being injured. They found one in Mikel Marino. Does he start on Saturday, do you think?
He's certainly got a shout to start. I think he's a good fit. I think they do have slightly other options if they want to, play with more of a false nine. But I think he's someone who's got an eye for goal. He most likely will be the natural one that will fit in there. And the other players who've contributed to goals this season, I think sometimes Havertz got a lot of criticism, and now he's got injured. A lot of people are sort of worried that he's out, which is sort of interesting how that sometimes happens. But Marino's certainly a player that can finish, and that's ultimately what they need.
I mean, sometimes you've got to do a job for the team. Sometimes it pays off, sometimes it doesn't. But at the minute, I mean, it's desperate measures. For such a long time now, we've been speaking about Arsenal. Trying to get a number 9 in. It's not happened, and that situation where other players have got to now step up. And you mentioned about a false 9. You've seen teams do that, but you still fancy them to sort of like have too much for West Ham.
They create chances. So, you know, whoever's in the 9, or wide areas, they will create chances.
It was a difficult watch, though, for them going forward. Probably the best of the lot was Ethan Nwaneri in terms of creating. What do we think about him? One of the academy players who've really shone this season.
Yeah, really exciting young talent. I think, you know, you don't want to make too much of it, because you know that when you're that age, it's really, really important that you keep developing, you keep improving, you keep having that desire to want to keep getting better, because, you know, good moments will always catch the eye, but, you know, you've got to keep doing them. That's what makes the best players, and he's certainly shown how much quality he does have. He's obviously got great confidence. You know, players that play in attacking third, to get off the mark in terms of goals is always as well a good confidence boost. But really direct player, you know, technically very, very
just
good.
Fearless, isn't it? I think young players come into teams now and just fearless. You know, you go there and you're just sort of like at academy level. We played against him, you know, when I was at Tottenham in the academy under 18s. He was obviously younger, and you could just tell straight away that he was just the levels. You knew he was a Premier League footballer. At any stage, you knew he would get in the Arsenal first team and that, but he's a brilliant player. But like I said, you're just fearless and you just want to play, and you sort of like can get away with the mistakes. And probably like next season and the season after, hopefully he's, you know, still playing at that sort of level. That's when people will probably start asking questions and that, because like you said, it's one thing getting there, but once you get there, you've got to stay there. Because, you know, when you set those sort of standards high, people that expect it week in, week out and every season. So, but he's a top talent.
So the psychology of this one for Arsenal, with Liverpool playing on Sunday, they've always played a game more than Liverpool. Now Liverpool have played more games. They could narrow that gap, put pressure on the league leaders again. Do you think that will affect them, that kind of pressure, or do you think it's a little bit easier because they're chasing?
I don't think the pressure will affect them. I think they're in a position now where they're probably used to that pressure, that, you know, they're playing West Ham in the league at home. I think whenever this fixture came this season, no matter how the table looked, there would be an expectation that Arsenal would win it. And so I think from that perspective, it's no different. They probably need to win it if they want to seriously consider themselves in contention. But I don't think the pressure will be so much the thing that changes. I think they're used to that. They've got to find a way to get the result.
Yeah, those are the next few games. West Ham at home, then at Nottingham Forest, obviously a big one, Man United, Chelsea, Fulham and Everton. A couple London derbies in there. West Ham is a derby as well, of course. What do you think West Ham can do in this game? And if the goals are going to come, do you assume Jared Bowen's going to have something to do with them?
Oh, what a player, Jared Bowen. He's been fantastic. Not just this season, obviously he's had his injuries. He's someone that's improved so much. You know, you watch players and you can tell that, you know, he's worked a lot on his finishing. You know, he's strong, he's a willing runner. I was actually at this game, and as soon as he gets the ball there, you just fancy him to score. You know, he comes inside, he hits it so quick, really powerful. And again, this is another good finish. Comes inside, it's a great finish. And you do like, I mean, if they're going to do anything good, you know, he's always involved. Obviously they've got Paqueta, Kudos again, who's another good player from set pieces. Got Souček, and but it'll be a tough game in that. But I think if they've got a chance of winning it, they have to provide chances for this guy.
Rachel?
Yeah, and he's also been asked to do a different job. I think he's best when he plays off that right-hand side, but there's even been times this season and in the past where he's had to go and play in the 9, and he does that, and he's dangerous, and he scores really good goals, but he scores goals that are difficult to create. You know, sometimes when he received the ball there, a couple of those chances, you're thinking, how's he going to find a way to work a shot? And he's just got that ability, he backs himself, and some fantastic goals.
This is how the very top of the Premier League table looks with 25 games played. That means there are 13 left to go. Liverpool have a 7-point advantage over Arsenal. They have a plus 36 goal difference should that happen. Remember, these sides will play each other on the 10th of May, very deep into the season, with just 2 more games left to play after that. So it's just all bubbling away quite nicely, because although that gap is at 7 points at the moment, and that looks like a pretty healthy gap, that was not a convincing performance from Liverpool, and it comes off the back of the defeat by Plymouth in the FA Cup. It comes off the back of that late equaliser in an emotionally exhausting last Merseyside derby at Goodison Park in midweek, and they look They looked like they were running on fumes against Wolves.
Do you know, for everything you've just said there, I just feel that's why I feel they're going to be the champions, because they're not playing well and they're still getting results. And I think that's the problem almost at the minute.
Doesn't there come a point where results catch up with performances?
No, because I feel like their performances will go up again. I think this is just their blip kind of situation. Where, listen, they might get beat here, they might get beat there, but I just feel with Liverpool, the firepower they've got, they're not necessarily playing that well, but they're still getting results. At some point, this is not going to continue. Their performances will go up again. They'll start to play really well again.
And they're still winning games, like you say.
That's the big thing.
The thing is, and I'm trying to inject a note of jeopardy in here, the thing is, this is a big week for Liverpool because they've got the League Cup final to come in March. So their game there has been rescheduled for midweek, this week coming, which is Aston Villa. They're at Aston Villa for that game. At the weekend, they're at the Etihad for Manchester City. And we saw what they just did to Newcastle. Then they've got Newcastle in the Premier League. They've only got one Premier League game in the whole of March. That's the one against Southampton because they got the League Cup final. And then it's a Merseyside derby. And yes, this one is at Anfield, so it doesn't come with quite that emotional kind of chaos that we saw in the one at Goodison. They're not easy. I mean, OK, Southampton at home, you would think with Southampton's performances this season should be all right. They are not an easy run of fixtures between now and the beginning of April.
No, they're not. But like what Benty alluded to, they're winning games when they're not playing that well. Yeah. And that's what the best teams do. That's how teams historically have won the Premier League. Winning 1-0, a win's a win. But I think this Liverpool team, like I've said it many times on this show and on Team Talks as well, like Mo Salah, like the guy's a joke. Do you know what I mean? Doesn't matter how old he is. I've said to you and you always laugh at me, give that man whatever he wants because he's a game changer. I don't think they'll ever get anybody in the near future to replace someone like Mo Salah. So I think, you know, this Liverpool team, they play like champions at times. They've got Gakpo. Their strength in depth is unbelievable. When Jota's injured, there's Darwin Nunez. You know, he's not at his best, but they still have that quality. McAllister, like the quality they have. And Virgil van Dijk's having a great season as well. So I think they can win those games. I do. I think what you see what Arne Slot's done, they haven't skipped a beat since Jurgen Klopp left, have they, really? I mean, if anything, they've kind of taken it to another level, but then at the detriment of Man City. Also, I'm sure Jurgen Klopp's thinking I should have left next year because, you know, the fact that City have had this blip that they're having, no one saw that coming. And then it's down to Arsenal to kind of push them all the way. Do
you know, my only thing with Liverpool, I think for me the key, and you're right, Salah, I mean, the goals he scored is Virgil. I just feel if they lost Virgil to injuries or the contract or that type of situation, the injury is probably the big thing. I just don't think Liverpool fans would feel as comfortable if it's, and listen, Kwanzaa's good young talent, Gomez, Kanate, all good players in their own right, but you put Virgil next to anybody and they're going to be calm. You take him out of it and you've just got those two, that's where I think,
and I think that's the reason why you have to keep that jeopardy in there. Also, the fact that Liverpool against Wolves, it almost was as if 2-0 was too easy. They started coasting. They were like a horse that gets to the front and then starts to idle in front and actually needs to be challenged to go again. What I think really did vindicate Arne Slot is he had a lot of criticism for the side he played against Plymouth. But if you think about when the original Everton game was postponed in December and last week's game against Everton, they played twice a week for 8 out of those 9 weeks. And when you look at Everton's energy levels in that game and the way that Everton came back, they kept going all the way to the end. Had he gone strong in that Plymouth game, those players would not have had the legs to live with Everton in that emotionally chaotic game, as you were saying. And then I was looking at the fixtures coming up. You had Everton on Wednesday, you had Wolves on Sunday, you've got Villa on Wednesday, you've got Manchester City 4 days later after that. I mean, the games are coming thick and fast for them. And Slot is absolutely right to manage the squad the way that he's managed it so that they can cope. Otherwise, you're adding another element of jeopardy, chasing a 4-timer that Liverpool have gone for before and failed to do. Why would you do that when you can actually maximise your potential to stay top of the league and stop at the Champions League?
And as much as we look ahead to the City game at the weekend, and Liverpool will have played Aston Villa at Villa Park in midweek, Manchester City will have played the Bernabeu in the Champions League, and then the last 16 games come into play after that for both Liverpool and for Arsenal. And actually, are Arsenal, to answer the question of whether or not Arsenal are placed well in order to challenge Liverpool should they wobble, because the question is whether Liverpool will be able to catch breath in order to raise the level of their performances. Over the last 15 games, their record is exactly the same. Their goal difference is exactly the same. So if Liverpool dip and Arsenal improve, then that's where the gap can start to close, which could set us up for a huge game.
And
we're all looking towards the 10th of May, basically. We're all looking towards that.
Where Arsenal could really make it the most of this is the clean sheet record. 2 in their last 2 games now. They're starting to get defensively strong again. If they can nick goals
1-0s
now, 1-0s, they don't need
Set
to be
pieces
explosive.
even if, yeah,
exactly. Go back to their strengths. They could take it all the way. Liverpool are conceding each of their last 4 home games. They're not as I know we've been nice about Virgil and all that, but Konate wasn't that convincing against Wolves. Quanta's been in and out. There are deficiencies in that back line, and they give opposition teams a chance. Villa look as though they can score goals again as well. The jeopardy's there.
Do you know what it is for Arsenal? I just do think, obviously, Mikel Moreno coming on, scoring the 2 goals was huge. Arsenal so many times this season, and certainly without a recognised centre forward now, Havertz is not there, Saka's not too far away. There's games where they're really tight and they just haven't managed to find that spark for someone to step up and get that goal.
Well, they've got Sterling and Trossard in there and Nwaneri.
Look at them. Look at the teams that they've. I mean, look, there was the League Cup game against Newcastle, and that was done over the 2 legs. But look at those results in there. Yeah,
but Martinelli was ever present before the Newcastle 2-0. He's no longer there for a little bit. Havertz he's gone down for the season.
But hang on. This is Havertz, who has been under real fire for not being able to finish.
Superstar.
This is Kai Havertz. Suddenly he's got injured, and it's like, well, that's it now. For Arsenal, there's no Kai Havertz.
No, but it's just another body.
The problem, and now he's the solution.
Now he's the solution.
But no, it's just another body, and he has scored important goals this season. But when you then remove him, and then you remove Martinelli, Saka's not there. I mean, you're relying on.
And even if he's not scored, he's another distraction for defence.
Exactly. And we've got Nwaneri. He's a 17-year-old kid, as special as he is.
And he doesn't play like a 17-year-old at all.
He does. It's just options, and that's where I just think Arsenal may. I hope they don't.
I think they'll fall short based upon that, though, guys. I think the front line is so crucial. We talk about Liverpool's defence, but like you look at that front 3 at the weekend with Trossard, Sterling, Nwaneri, like that isn't a championship winning side. That isn't.
All it needs to be is provide that energy that's going to keep them going for 2 months.
Yeah, but not the quality. The quality. Look at Liverpool's front line.
Where has got the quality?
Huh?
And where has got the quality?
Yeah, he has, but he's not Salah, like Gakpo, nah.
Do you know what? 13 games to go. The Champions League in the mix in terms of the fixtures that they've got, depending on how they perform there. There's a lot of twists to come in this title race. I'm going with Darren. There's jeopardy still to come. Thank you,
Come on, United.
Thank you, Leanne. Thank you. Be back next week, Banty, or is it Righty?
Right, I think.
See you then.